So, a great finale to the championship for Duckworth as he took it by 28 points from Fanamava. Honda riders did well to take 6 of the top 8 places. In the Pro Quad category, Brandon Martin had a 12-point lead over Christo Fanamava, but Jacques Struig was only a further 2 points down.
I think we're 3 oaks up in the points, so any one of us can still take it today. I think the best thing is to get a good start today, and because it's very muddy out there, if you get a good start and try and keep it there, the other guys won't catch you. You know, it's difficult to overtake in the mud.
And muddy it certainly was as the riders got away for their first race of the day. Championship leader Brandon Martin jumping into the lead, leaving the rest of the field to sort themselves out in the slippery conditions. Defending champion Christo Fanamava was back in 6th. The Pro Quad category caters for modified multi-terrain vehicles with engines larger than 200 cc's, and a mixture of Yamahas, Hondas, Rotaxes and Polaris machines traditionally make up the field. The leaders were already pulling away from the rest of the field as the riders struggled to come to grips with the conditions underfoot, and very soon the leader was the only one with clean clothing. At the end of the first lap, Martin was leading Jacques Struig, Brendan Badenhorst, Billy Coetzee, Evan Hutchison and Fanamava. Although Martin had made a clean break, he knew that Struig was a dangerous adversary who simply never gives up. The battle for third was promising to become furious as the race progressed, as Fanamava needed to get much closer to both Martin and Struig. The race now started to take on a pattern as the 2 leaders pulled away. Badenhorst was making his first appearance in the Pro Quad category after spending the whole season in the unmodified Super Quad category and was holding his own, while Francois Coetzee, or Billy as he's popularly known, was doing a great job of holding off Fanamava, who had already got past Hutchison to move into 5th position. Fanamava, on the Joburg Yamaha Banshee, was trailing Martin on his 5-star Yamaha by 12 points in the championship before this race. But in their current positions, Fanamava would give away another 5 points, a situation he clearly wasn't happy with. On lap 6 now, and still Martin was leading Struig on the Jojo Tanks Honda, ahead of Brendan Badenhorst, 3rd in his rookie Pro Quad race. Struig was exactly where he wanted to be in relation with Fanamava, who was only 2 points ahead before this race. The reigning champion was still languishing down in 5th position behind Billy Coetzee, also on a Jojo Tanks Honda, with Evan Hutchison on the Line-X Yamaha starting to push. He forced Fanamava wide in the final sweep, but Fanamava held on, barely. Then drama struck as just out of view, leader Brendan Martin went wide, allowing Jacques Struig through into 1st position. Struig couldn't believe his luck and jumped at the opportunity, immediately starting to pull away. Martin wouldn't have been too unhappy with himself, as he still had a nice handful of points to play with. But in this type of racing, one can never become complacent. The battle for 4th was as furious as ever, with Billy Coetzee showing the tenacity that can make him a serious challenger in this category in the future. He was still holding off Christo Fanamava and Evan Hutchison, who were keeping each other very busy indeed. There was no stopping Struig, however, who romped to an easy victory over points leader Martin, with Badenhorst finishing a very respectable 3rd. Hutchison moved up to 4th after Fanamava stopped with mechanical problems and could only finish 12th. We pick up the action on the 2nd lap of the 3rd race, with Brandon Martin back in the lead, quite a way ahead of Jacques Struig and Christo Fanamava, who was trying to get away from Brandon Badenhorst. Struig had won the 2nd race as well, ahead of Martin and Fanamava, who'd solved his mechanical problems. But as matters stood before the start of the 3rd race, Martin had a 10-point lead over Struig, now up into 2nd position on the log, with a 13 points cushion over Fanamava. Martin, on the 5-star Yamaha, was comfortable in the knowledge that he only had to concentrate on staying on his quad to clinch the championship. But his lapse of concentration in the first race must still have been nagging at the back of his mind. Fanamava was finally shaking off Badenhorst. Having disposed of the rookie, who finished 6th in the 2nd race, Fanamava could now concentrate on catching Struig. 5 laps into the race, and Martin was controlling the pace, not pushing too hard, but keeping an eye out for Struik and Van der Merwe. By now, it seemed as if Struik had given up on hoping that something would go wrong for the championship and race leader, so he decided to indulge in some horseplay with the soon-to-be deposed reigning champion. Struik and Van der Merwe are old adversaries on the track, and the Joburg Yamaha rider was obviously not impressed with Struik's antics. This kind of thing can lead to some dramatic developments. The battle for second was obviously going to continue for a while, but down the field there were some other dramatic personal battles being fought out. David Parkinson on his Yamaha was holding on to 6th position, but was under pressure from Butch Earcoat on another Yamaha. But back to the front on lap 7, where Brandon Martin was well on his way to a victory to take the title in style. But Struik was playing games again while lying in 2nd position. This time, however, things didn't quite go according to plan, and he was lucky that he was able to get his Jojo Tanks Honda going again in 5th position and not losing his 2nd place in the championship to Van der Merwe. Martin ended his season the best way possible with a fine victory, well ahead of the rest of the field. Van der Merwe salvaged some pride with a 2nd place, while Badenhorst could also feel good about his 2nd, 3rd place of the day, ahead of Hannes Simon.
Yeah, I wanted to end the season off with a win. I got a bit tired in the first heat, but I managed to pull it off in the last heat. I'm very happy.
Back to the two-wheelers now, and in the open motorcycle category, only 20 points separated the top 4 riders in the championship. Ryan Hunt knew that he had his work cut out.
Because I missed the last round when I went to the Motocross Des Nations, although I won all the previous rounds, I'm down 17 points, and so it's going to be tough today because there aren't that many points to get if the guys finish in the positions I expect them to finish in, so it's going to be tight at the end of the day.
Hunt, a multiple former motocross champion, has a reputation for being quick out of the starting blocks, and he certainly lived up to it as he shot into the lead on his Fuchs Silkeline KTM. Right behind him were Freddie Fourie on his Elna Fox Kawasaki, Mark Ramsey on a Suzuki, Petrus van Vuren on another Elna Fox Kawasaki, Gary Lipchik on a Honda, and Alan Julian on another Honda. With only 5 points between Julian and Fourie before this race, all eyes were on the gap between the two. 25 for a win, 23 for 2nd, 22 for 3rd, 21 for 4th, and 20 points for 5th are the figures to keep in mind here. At the end of the first lap, things had started to settle down, with Hunt in the lead ahead of Fourie, Ramsey and Julian. Fourie needed to keep at least one rider between himself and Julian if he had any hope of closing the points gap. While Hunt had lost out because of his overseas commitments in September, Julian has had a very consistent season, regularly finishing in the top 4. 4 laps into the race now, and Fourie had caught up with Hunt. Mark Ramsey was also pushing as hard as he could to get into touch with the leading pair. Hunt has had the most successful season as far as victories are concerned, having won all the races in which he's taken part. But the only blot in his copybook was the previous event, where should he have won as well, he could have written the title behind his name. Alan Julian was still down in 4th, giving away 2 points to Fourie on current positions. So the Kawasaki rider was trying his best to get into the lead for an extra 2 points. Petrus van Vuren was lying in 5th position, but was coming under increasing pressure from Gary Lipchik, carrying his trademark Pink Panther on his back. But there was no one to seriously challenge the dominating form of Ryan Hunt, and the top order remained the same. This result meant that Julian now had only a 3-point advantage over Fourie and 13 over Hunt, with 2 races to go and a maximum of 60 points still up for grabs. The 3rd race of the day, and on lap 2, Hunt and Fourie were at each other's throats again, but this time Alan Julian stayed with them. Hunt had won the 2nd race as well aboard his Fuchs Silkeline KTM, but Mark Ramsey had finished 2nd on his Suzuki, ahead of Freddie Fourie on the top-running Elna Fox Kawasaki. Julian on his Honda was 4th again, and as far as the championship was concerned, this meant that Julian's lead over Fourie had shrunk to just 2 points, and that over Hunt to 9. Julian therefore needed just to stay behind Fourie to take the title by a single point. Dave White on his Kawasaki was lying in 8th and already had 2 8th places in the bag in the previous 2 races. He was being pushed hard by Jaco Marie on a Honda. Mark Ramsey had been trying all the time to catch up with the leading trio after going wide in the first corner on the first lap, but he was going to have to do it all over again when his front wheel gave way beneath him, dropping him down to 5th. With the championship at stake, no one was really going to try anything funny, and Ryan Hunt and Freddie Fourie decided to remain where they were until the end. With Alan Julian remaining in 3rd position up to the checkered flag, the championship was sewn up, with Julian taking the title, 1 point ahead of Fourie. But the small points margin didn't matter at all.
The last race worked out very well for me with Mark Ramsey going wide on the first turn, and all I had to do was just make sure I finished behind Freddie, and luckily Ryan did well enough to hold him off until the end, so it lands up. I beat Freddie by 1 point, which, I mean, is good enough for me, so I'm pretty happy with the whole event.
This was the closest title battle in Super Series 98, with only 6 points separating the top 3 finishers.